I'm so sorry. I had to sharpen, you know, my,
Consider what you're gonna say before you
just go with the crocheting class.
These videos have been fun to make. Today we're going to have a speed run through Worldspanner Factions to show you how it's played.
Greetings. This morning we are going to be playing a game of Worldspanner Factions. Now the other players have not arrived yet, so we are going to start by getting some of the prep out of the way so we're ready to go when they arrive. To start, we're going to get 3 of these platters. You can randomly select them by whatever means you choose. We have the Seaside Chateau, Horselands, and the Slackwater Farm. So now with our platters, we're going to interlock with keys. So now we have our mixed up stack of keys. We're going to start by affixing one of these keys to a platter, and we are going to arrange the other platters onto that key. So we have the center of our map. Now we're going to take the other keys and we're going to just place them around the map. The amount of variety in the random map generation system is astounding. No 2 maps are ever the same. Now let's set up the rest of the game. We'll put our treasure decks here. And then set up our market. Stockpiling it with equipment items such as the flintlock pistol, crystal construct, and the magnificent warhorse. Get our challenge decks for the 2 teams. Now let's put out the quest cards for each faction. Place Dreadmark at the Dreadmark order, Steel Bastion, Hope Hospice, the Celestial Theater, and Green Veil. So let's get started. We have Team White and Team Black. We're going to be playing 8 heroes per team. We're going to start by drawing 14 of these hero cards for each team and giving them the opportunity to pick their 8 from that set. Alright, so we have got 8 heroes for each team. We have divvied out 4 for each player. I have taken a combat-centric selection. I have Titanium Renegade, the Cyborg, which is in place as a heavy tank. Private Sanchez, the Sniper, is going to be a ranged overwatch on a very open map. Genghis Khan, the Conqueror, is going to apply an area control with his fear abilities. And I have Emily Knight, the Outdoor Survivor, as a way to quickly collect equipment cards near the start of the game.
And since my partner is going combat heavy, I decided to just completely go for the adventures, for getting favor with the factions. So I took, we have Celestial Theater here, which is the faction of the famous people. And we have Hope Hospice over here, which is the faction of the good and noble people. And so what I did, I had some great adventures for both of those.
I've got Dr. Hume, fun wild card. His stats don't look great, but he has some significant bonuses in stealth and in combat. Jade and Molgoth are my move around fast and beat people up. They're also bonus here at Hope Hospice and Dreadmark, so really looking forward to that. And Queenie is a fun shooter.
I have Shifter, who's a very fun on-the-field character. I've got Scheherazade, who's very useful for sort of counterplay in so much as when there are enemy men on the team, she does a good job of avoiding taking damage from them. And El Cid has a very high adventure stats right out the gate, also has some fun combat feats, and also gets us extra gold to begin with.
Let's look at some of the treasure items that the heroes are starting with. Emily has a good mix of speed boots and a nice sword. Genghis Khan got something he didn't want at the moment. He'll probably want to trade that away. Soulstone of Focus is not good for a dishonorable character. Oh, and Private Sanchez is packing a rifle. Dr. Hume has some nice weapons to start with. Scheherazade is packing some armor. She also has a minion that she can unleash, the Gemini, and then the Timebender Cube, which will allow her to take 2 actions in one. Round 1, Skyhawks' turn.
The first round of the game goes quickly because we have no heroes on the board yet. The Skyhawk team goes first. We're going to begin by putting 3 of our heroes on the board.
And I'm going to start with Victoria. I want to get her out here. She's an amazing adventurer. I want to get her out here and winning favor with the Celestial Theater as soon as possible. So what I do is I'm going to make what's called a dismiss draw. I'm going to draw a card, and it's going to show me domes that I'm allowed to go to. So I can go to any dome that's 3 or 4. Now, that's not what I wanted as much. I wanted 1 or 5 to get her close to this. Instead, she's going to show up here or show up here. However, she's such an amazing adventurer that she can do just as well at the Hope Hospice. She doesn't have a penalty there, and so I'm going to set her right here and get her close. In fact, I'm going to move her up a little bit, set her right there so that she can immediately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 get in and do this adventure. And then I'm going to bring on Ironhead McCrae, who's similar to Victoria, but he can defend himself. He is going to 1 to 3, and he loves the Celestial Theater, being a famous boxer. He's going to go to 1. He'll be able to get in right away and just wipe that out.
I'm going to put Genghis Khan on the board. He's going to show up at 4, 5, or 6. I'm going to pick 6 so that he can be close to Dreadmark Order, which as a villain is his aligned faction. That's our first turn. Now we're going to pass it to the Psiclones to do their first turn.
Round 1, Cyclone's turn.
I'm going to be going ahead and bringing on Molgoth, and I flip over the card. I get a 6, which is perfect, because I'm going to come over here right next to Genghis. I'm going to also be bringing on Jade. He is a wonderful adventurer, incredibly fast, and also quite the fighter as well. I got a 4, which is perfect, because Hope's Hospice is his ideal place. And if Victoria decided to stick around, he is more than willing to give her the horn.
I'm going to bring on Fanged Trachnids. It's better to get him out early because his healing increases his stats. So I've drawn a 3 to a 4, which is perfect because I can now go back up Jade, putting myself right down here on Dome 4. And let's say Brett chooses to stay around, we can gang up them.
Yeah, Victoria's running like a squirrel. I'm sticking around for that.
Round 2, Skyhawks' turn.
So now we're going to go into round 2. For this turn, again, back to our team, there's going to be more to do. There are heroes on the board, and they're going to be moving, fighting, and adventuring. I'm going to start by moving Genghis Khan because he needs to get to this objective and away from Molgoth as quickly as possible. Yes. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you can move your guys.
Okay, Victoria is doing what they absolutely said she was going to do, and she's going to head in and go for the scholarship challenge inside Hope Hospice. She's not the smartest person ever, but it's a good one for her that gets her away from those bad people.
Fear is a fantastic motivator.
Yes, and she is motivated. Okay, and then Ironhead McCrae is over here. He doesn't really care about the bad guys, and he's far enough away. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He wants to go to spread fame, and couldn't quite make it, but next turn he'll be able to.
That's our action step for this turn. During the adventure step, we check to see if any of the heroes are on an adventure space, and they may do that adventure if they so choose. Which brings us to Victoria.
So Victoria, because she is on an adventure space, this is a task space where she knows what she's trying to do, which in this case is conduct some scholarship. This is a 5 intellect challenge. Now, she has a 5 intellect herself, and that makes her equal with the challenge. She doesn't get any bonuses or penalties here because exemplars, good faction people, get a bonus there, whereas villains and outcasts, they would get a penalty. She's a famous person. She's a member of the Icons, so there's no modifier there. She is 0 against this challenge. Now, I'm about to draw a challenge card, and this handles everything in the game. What I would do is I'll look at the 0 line of the card, and it'll tell me how well I did. So I look at the 0 line. I see a wonderful happy face there, which is excellent. It means she passed it.
Nice.
She did well. But here's the great thing. She is Victoria, and whenever she passes an adventure, it is treated as if she amazed an adventure. So she actually pops up all the way to the gold happy face, and what that means is, instead of collecting 1 gold for her scholarship, she actually collects 2. So she gains 2 gold. I will put 2 more gold on her card. Now that she has passed it, and she has gained favor with Hope Hospice, she gets to put her team's marker on that space. She now has, and this team has more favor with that faction than anyone else, and that is how you win the game.
Now that we've completed the adventure step of our turn, we're going to move on to the reinforce step. I'm going to start by bringing on Private Sanchez. at 1 or 2, I'm going to put him on a section of the board where he can have some safe distance from Molgoth, while also having a presence on the field. And then I'm going to put Emily Knight on the board. But before I can do that, she has a special ability where, before going onto the map, you place 3 tokens, 1 on each platter. These are her equipment caches. If she starts her turn on one of those caches, she gets to draw treasure cards. Now I get to decide where she goes. 4 through 6. You need to try to put her somewhere close to one of her caches, but also away from Molgoth, who is incredibly dangerous. So I'm going to put her here on this 5, which is near Green Vale, which, as a commoner, is associated with her faction.
Okay, and then I've got a little bit of trouble down here. I'm hoping to help with that. So I'm going to bring on my big tree. Winter Creek's coming on, and he is going to come on at 5 or 6. Now, I can't help because 4 down there, but that's almost okay. He's very slow. It would take him a while to get somewhere from that. And since he moves very quickly through woods, and there's woods here, he is going to show up right here and be able to quickly go into Green Vale, where he doesn't have a bonus or a penalty.
Round 2, Cyclone's turn.
I'm going to go ahead and move Fanged Trachnids. Now, Fang starts with 2 wound tokens that he can recover if he's starting his free action in swamp or water. So I'll go ahead and put both of those down there. And I also want to block off Brett from moving forward. So I think I'll go 2, 4 here. That puts me in swamp so I can heal. And I'm also blocking the way.
Yeah, and I've got an issue here because I only have 5 movement, and this rough costs 2, the swamp costs 2. So 2, 4, 5, I can only get to here. I'm sure that Jade's going to probably go here and block me from getting into Hope Hospice. So I'm kind of stuck out there with 2 bad people who want to hurt me. So that's unfortunate.
And just like Brett is afraid of, Jade is going to come right over here. Which way Brett will go? Don't know. We'll have to see. Because I don't quite have enough movement to attack Genghis Khan. Moving 5, I'm just slightly slower than him, and I started slightly more disadvantaged than him. Now, what I do have is I have Sanchez over here. Now, Sanchez obviously wants to escape and stay out of my range, but by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I prevent him from being able to get into a dome. Emily could come over, but frankly, she's terrible at melee, so I'd be more than happy to welcome her. And the good old tree is completely unable to attack me. Now, by this way, I'm probably going to force him to head towards Dreadmark, but I'm within range to be able to catch up to him and smack him down.
All right, so we've entered our reinforced step now. I'm going to go ahead and bring on El Cid. I'll draw my card. I drew a 1, 2, or a 3. That suits me just fine because we can now pincer Sanchez. I'm just going to go ahead and put El Cid right down here. And then I'm also going to bring on Shifter. Shifter is going to go to any of the domes in Zone 2. So ultimately I want to be close to Dreadmark because that's the closest base. I'll just go ahead and put Shifter down right here.
So I'm going to be bringing on Dr. Hume. He is going to be coming on to a 1 to 3. Which is perfect because there is an entrance right down here in Dreadmark, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can get to the intellect challenge in 1 turn, and he is fantastic at intellect challenges.
Yes, evil plans are the quintessential Dr. Hume.
Round 3, Skyhawks' turn.
Time for round 3. Starting with our turn.
Yeah, we got a lot of problems out here. So they have very dangerous people and have 2 people that are somewhat trapped. So we have Victoria down here who's got kind of sandwiched in between 2 baddies. And definitely Private Sanchez is surrounded by bad guys. But we're going to see what we can do about that. This game is about maneuver, and if we can get some maneuver going, we might be able to save these characters, these heroes. Okay, so the great part about Victoria is that one of the things they didn't take into account is Victoria has what is called a boost. What a boost does is when you activate it during the free step, which is the very first thing that you do during your turn, when you activate a boost, all of the numbers, the stats and ratings that you have, including your movement, is increased by 1. Is that now I have 6 movement. I can go 2, 4, 5, 6. What that does is that now Jade, who has a speed of 7, because of the rough terrain around here, Jade cannot even reach me anymore. I'm only dealing with the Fang Trachnits. So Victoria has successfully gotten away from the ambush that was laid.
So now I'm in a bad position with Private Sanchez, and we need to get him out of here one of these ways. I think if he goes that way, he's going to get crushed by all of these enemies over here, so we should try to bring him around here, even though Molgoth is right in the way.
Yeah.
So if you help me out...
I can help with that.
Okay. So I'm going to start with him by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just to get some distance. And then if you could bring Ironhead over...
Yes, so I can help out. Winter Creek can actually help out in this case. So what Ironhead will do is he will move up and actually attack Molgoth. He's okay with that because he doesn't mind getting roughing it up a little bit. The great part for Winter Creek is while he only has 3 movement, he moves 0 through trees, and there are trees over here that he can use to that effect. So he can go 1, 2, pay nothing, 3. What that means is next turn he can pay nothing for these woods, go into here, so that if Molgoth decides that he does want to attack, then Winter Creek can get to him anywhere.
Okay. As for Emily, she started with this nice pair of shoes called the Dashers, which gives her a +1 bonus to her speed. This brings her current movement speed from 5 up to 6, and therefore will allow her to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to one of her equipment caches. Genghis Khan is going to move on the quest adventure in the Dreadmark order to try to get some more equipment cards.
And that's our action step.
And that's our action step.
Now we're going to enter the melee step, which we haven't used yet because enemies have not been next to each other. Now they are. We have Molgoth versus Ironhead McCrae. During the melee step, each person that is adjacent to an enemy gets to take 1 melee attack on 1 adjacent enemy. Whoever has the most wits, whoever's the fastest in mind, is going to be able to attack first. Ironhead has a 4 wits. And Molgoth has a 5, so unfortunately Molgoth gets to attack me first. When you conduct a melee attack, it's very much like a role-playing game. You're going to have a hit roll, a hit check, and then a damage check. Basically, the hit check is going to be my agility against his melee capability. Now he has a 7, I have a 7, so it's equal. A chance to hit me, we're going to look on the 0 line on the card, and he draws a 0 is a hit. You can see the hit bar there, barely a hit. So unfortunately, yes, he did hit me. Now that he's hit me, we have to figure out what the damage is. Since I'm running around topless, basically, I have armor of 2. Unfortunately for me, I'm dealing with a bone and metal evil golem, and he has a power. The power is your ability to get through armor of 5. So this is kind of ugly for me. He is 3 better, so we're going to look at the 3 line. On the 3, oh, that's terrible. On the 3 line, he has gotten to the highest level possible. And if you notice over here, it says +1 wound. So he's going to do 1 more wound than he normally does with his weapon. His weapon does 3 wounds normally. So instead of taking 3 wounds, I'm going to take 4. But here's the great thing about Ironhead McCrae. When any of these enemies hit me and damage me with their own natural weapons, I get to block one amount of that wound. So instead of doing 4 to me, he's actually going to only do 3 wounds. I can take 5. I'm still okay. I'm going to punch back. Okay, now it's Ironhead's turn. His melee is an 8. He's very good at hitting. And the Molgoth is big and a bit slow, and his agility is only 5. So I'm actually 3 better on my hit attempt. I pull. If you see the hit bar here, on 3, I hit. That was the easy part. Here's the harder part. I only have 3 power to penetrate through armor. Unfortunately, Molgoth, being bone and iron, has a 5 armor. So 3 versus 5, I am 2 worse. I check the 2 worse line, and yes, 2 worse does normal damage. My normal damage is 3 wounds. So I do 3 wounds, back to Molgoth dominant. That's what you get.
Nice.
That's what happens when you mess with Iron Head.
And I'm happy with that.
Yeah, because you have a lot more health than I do, unfortunately.
I do.
Okay, melee step is over. Now we do our adventures. The only adventure we have this turn is this quest adventure in Dreadmark with Genghis Khan. So we're going to take one of these special quest cards. And he is up against a 5 stealth challenge.
Yes. The quest is steal something for me. Something pretty.
Genghis Khan has a stealth of 4. He is also a villain in the Dreadmark order, so he receives the +2 bonus. So that puts him at a 6 total against a 5, which is 1 better. Result for 1 better, unfortunately, is a failure still. So
fail.
He is not
you couldn't
succeeding.
steal the common cold.
Okay, on a failure, the challenge remains for someone else to come try, and I am dismissed. I gain no rewards. So now I go to 5 through 6. Where's a good place? Let's go into this mess over here. Cause some more trouble.
Yes, you have your fear aura, which could really help out over here right now.
Mm-hmm. With the adventure step done, let's reinforce the rest of our heroes.
Okay, I'm going to bring on Sir Gawain. Let's see if I can help out somewhere. I show up at 1 or 2. Now, Sir Gawain, he's really good fighter, but he doesn't have a weapon yet. So I don't necessarily know whether I want to land into this mess or not, although he's great in this mess. And because he's not very smart and sees an opportunity to beat up a monster, he's actually going to go ahead and do that.
I have Titanium Renegade. Going to bring the Cyborg in at 1 through 3. That presents me with some options.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go all in on this. Let's bring the heavy tank into this mix.
Round 3, Cyclone's turn.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start our free step now. That means that Fanged Trachnids, because he starts in a swamp tile, heals 1 wound token, so I'm down to 1. And I'm going to go ahead and start moving towards Hope Hospice, try to get an adventure and maybe move once I'm at full health. So I'll move 2, 4, and I'll stay there, because I want that last wound token off. Now, with El Cid, I don't want to be anywhere around here at all. So I have enough movement to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, he's wise.
And that puts me well out of danger, but it also puts me on a strength challenge. That's great, because I have phenomenal strength with El Cid. And then with Shifter, I have just enough movement to get to the front door of Dreadmark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Alright, Molgoth is feeling the heat. There are just a few too many enemies, so he's going to go for some squishier targets here. Oh. And
That's
yeah,
right.
It looks good. Okay, Jade, he is unable to reach Victoria. He's kind of glad that he made her use her boost, but he's going to come in here to Hope Hospice and collect some gold. Okay, I got Dr. Hume. He loves that stealth challenge because he is the Invisible Man. Unfortunately, though, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he cannot make it there in 1 turn. And in order to best make use of our turns, I'm actually going to do the intellect challenge because he's also the mad scientist, so this is also right up his alley.
Now that they've finished their action, we have the opportunity to take a reaction. In this case, Private Sanchez has a cryo rifle that he is going to use as a reaction to shoot at Molgoth when he walked through this space during his turn. To take this shot,
Yes.
I am going to use his Dead Shot ability, applying a -2 penalty to my attack roll in exchange for a +1 bonus to the wound rating on the attack.
Take him down.
The cryo rifle is an aim weapon. As a ranged weapon, it targets the enemy's stealth. What is your stealth of Molgoth?
My stealth is 1.
Okay, that makes sense.
He is not a stealthy.
My aim is 9 against your
Yeah.
1. I'm 8 better, but I applied that -2 penalty for my special ability, so that takes me down to a 7 against your 1. So now I'm only 6 better.
All right, well, this should be fun.
This will
This
be
would be
hard
very,
for
very-
you
yep.
to hit.
All right, so 6 better. That is definitely a hit.
An amaze.
And now I need to roll the damage against you, which will be a little harder. I have 3 power with this weapon, and your armor is
5.
5. Okay, so this is 2 worse. And on the 2 worst line there is a -2 wounds. So the cryo rifle, which normally does 2 wounds, would do 0. But because of that Deadshot special ability, I add +1, so you take 1 wound.
1 wound. Pinged a little bit off of him.
Yep.
1 bone gone.
Lost the collarbone.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. We have no more reactions.
Yep. And now it's melee.
Now it's melee time.
And in the melee attack, Molgoth actually misses, but Emily doesn't, causing 3 wounds with her Elven Windsword. That's enough.
Thanks to the Elven Windsword,
Yes.
Emily did 3 wounds
Yes,
of damage
Windsword.
to Molgoth. So he has now taken 7 wounds. His maximum health is 7. So he is defeated. His gold is put in the space where he was defeated, and Molgoth himself is taken to the Underpit, where he is out of the game until he is rescued by his fellows.
Nice. Oh, that's a huge relief.
Don't worry, he's coming back.
Yeah. Dude is all set.
All right, and then because the Elven Windsword is a defeat weapon, it now is discarded because I just defeated another hero with it.
You have an idea now of what happens round to round in Worldspanner Factions. Let's go past round 10 and to the end of the game.
All right, we've reached the end of round 10, and now we see who was victorious. Victory is achieved in Worldspanner Factions through gaining favor with the different faction houses and with Queen Mother Lith. So let's walk through those. At Dreadmark, Psiclones, Team Black, absolutely wiped that one out. They gained a very powerful bonus during the game, and they were able to pull Molgoth out of the underworld, bring him back in, and do a lot of damage to our team. They have 4 victory markers in this faction. Whoever has the most victory markers wins the glory for that faction. So they gain 1. However, over here, Team White has 2 victory markers to 1. We gain 1 there. It is 1-1. Going over to Steel Bastion, we have 2 white victory markers, which gives white another glory. So it is now 2-1. Then we look at Green Veil. There's 1 white and 1 black marker. No one gains a point for that. In Celestial Theater, there's 1 black marker, so they gain another glory. It is currently 2-2. With Queen Mother Lith, whoever provides the most tribute to her wins, and that was Team Black. It's now 3-2 for Team Black. Finally, there's 1 more glory point that you can win. If you don't have any of your heroes in the Underpit at game end, you get a final glory. Team White, even though they had more heroes defeated, do not have anyone in the Underpit, and therefore they gain another glory. The game is now 3-3, and it's a tie. However, whoever has collected the most gold and is carrying the most gold at the end of the game wins the tie. So now we check how much gold we have. I'm sitting with 5, and you've got...
I've got 7.
7, so we have 12 on our side. And how much do you have?
5, 6, 7,
8, 9, 10, 11.
10, 11! Yes! Yes!
Ultimate tie.
So a squeaker of a win for Team White. Barely
They win by
squeaks it
1
out.
gold.
Beautifully done, guys. That was a great game. Really appreciate it.
Nice.
We'll have to do this again next week.